the tape for this, our main event of the evening. We introduce the champion, Chris, the West Side Strangler Brennan. Let's get it on!
What is up, guys? We are back to do the recap of UFC 280 in Abu Dhabi. What a great card. Did you enjoy it?
I did. Watched it with a couple buddies, and my son had a couple buddies over, and we were out of our chairs a couple times.
Yeah, me too.
There was some noise for sure.
I had a lot of wants in this, and then I had a lot of, guys that I wanted to win, and then guys that I thought would win.
Yeah. But from what I remember, there wasn't. I mean, there were a few differences, but
I was pretty right on. Even on the losses, yes. I gave the. We'll get to them, but
absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's jump into the first one. Is Fiorot versus Chookagian, and I think you called this exactly how this was going to go.
Like I said, she had 15 or 16 decisions.
Yeah,
and she was not going to knock out this girl, and this girl had a few decisions. She had a few wins, a few finishes as well, but Caitlin just does not have the put away power. Like, even if she won that, she'd be now on a 17 decision, streak on her wins. And so, she landed some good stuff, but the other girl, Manon,
yep.
She outpointed her, her maybe hurt her once, but there was not a lot of significant stuff. Her side kick to the front of the leg, to the knee, that was kind of the right off the bat, kind of what set the fight apart.
That's that oblique kick. Is that the one?
Yeah. And why they call it that, no one's told me, because the obliques are right here.
I still don't know the answer to that. Fiora, at the end of it, she started talking. She had Valentino on her mind, which seems
I didn't hear what
early.
she said right before that. She said, "I'm going to go back and do something, and then we'll start talking about Valentina."
I think it was watch the fight.
Yeah.
But I mean, she's got a lot of people ahead of her. Alexa Grasso, Andrade, Lauren Murphy, and Talia Santos are ahead of her now. In
Caitlin Chookagian was where?
Number 1.
Right. So she might not have a lot of people in front of her now.
Yeah.
So that's probably why she started talking about her. She could skip some of the girls that could actually beat her.
Yeah.
With the grappling to get to Valentina. But I doubt she goes right to the belt, but we'll see.
Was there anything noteworthy? I mean, this was 3 rounds of a little bit of vanilla for me.
Yeah, it was 3 rounds of someone that was going to the decision, whoever, no matter who won.
Yeah. Yep. Anything else noteworthy on that one for you?
I called it.
You did?
Yeah, I was happy I went 1-0 at the beginning.
Absolutely. So the second fight then, Dariush and Gamrot, and I think you called this exactly how it was going to go. In fact, I think you even texted me before they announced it, and you're like 2-0 because this went pretty well. There was Beneil sat Gamrot. Was it in the 3rd round that he sat him?
I think so, yes.
Was that overhand left that was timed perfectly?
He countered. He was throwing a knee at well, first of all, Beneil was throwing a nasty left knee to the upper rib cage area of Gamrot, and then that guy started throwing, and he came over the top. I forget what he threw at Beneil.
It looked like a body kick. It could have been. It almost looked like a knee or maybe a body kick, but I think it was going to be a body kick.
And he countered with that overhand, that straight left, and just clean. Sat him straight down, and
beautiful.
He looked great. I know he was disappointed because he got taken down 3 times, but he defended, I think, 7 or 8, maybe 9. And he didn't do anything to Beneil once he was on top anyway. I really enjoy him. I like the fact that he said I'd fight 10 more times, until I get the title fight. But I honestly think he should say I'm not fighting again until I get a title fight. He's got 8 in a row in that division, and no one else has that.
Yeah.
Like, no one else should get that shot before he does.
It's such a tough division, man.
It is.
It's such a tough division. I really liked how humble he was. I liked how he came out there. Just seems like such a good dude. And the division, obviously got shook up. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But the names above him, obviously we keep going back to it: Chandler, Gaethje, Poirier, Oliveira, Makhachev. I mean, like these are big time names, and I don't know where he fits in those, but he sure did well today. I liked how he presented himself, and honestly, that when he sat down Gamrot in the third round, that was one of the times where
sealed it.
Our whole room we all stood up. We're just like, oh,
yeah.
We were really stoked to see that one.
Good fight.
Man, O'Malley and Jan.
So real quick, I just want to go on the record and say Jan didn't get robbed. Like a robbery is when it's clear, 3 rounds, or 2 rounds wipe him out and a second close round. Anybody that was watching beforehand, and this goes for you as well, and I saw your son posted something too. He was angry. There were people tweeting on the screen going into the second round that O'Malley won the first round. Others said Jan won the first round. And it was back and forth and back and forth.
Yeah.
So if you look at that and you give O'Malley the first round, you now have a very close fight going into the third round, because
agreed.
the second round, he hurt Jan. Okay?
Yes.
Hurt him bad.
Yes.
But as soon as he hurt him, he turned and bam, he was hurt.
Was that the knee to the side of the head that opened up his eye? Was that?
Well, yes, but first he landed a switch step straight left.
Okay.
That rocked him back.
Yeah.
And actually hurt him.
Yeah.
And as soon as he did, he switched back and in came an overhand that bombed on him, caught him hard.
Yep.
And almost knocked him down, but didn't. And then he clinched with him instead and took him down. So after that, if you go by strikes landed, he outstruck him by 20 strikes. Okay. O'Malley outstruck Jan by 20 strikes.
Yep.
Significant strikes.
Yep.
He got taken down 6 times. Okay. Didn't do a ton with his takedowns, but he did get them. And being the father of a grappler, got to count the takedowns.
Absolutely.
Right. And then the ground control, he had 6-7 minutes.
I think
8 minutes.
I thought it was 544. That's the number that stands out.
Okay, I thought it was more than that, but if it's 544, it even gives a closer fight for O'Malley. So I believed that I was 100% correct before the decision was made that Jan would win the fight. O'Malley showed it out. He made a statement.
Absolutely.
He is absolutely at the top of the division with those guys.
Yep.
Put him inside the top 5 with all of them, and he's going to be great. And then they gave the decision to O'Malley. So does Dana have pull in the decision? As far as I know, no. As far as I know, it is the athletic commission that does all that. So I can't say, and especially they weren't in Vegas, right? They're in Abu Dhabi. So to say that, I have no idea. I don't think it was robbery. I do think it was close. I was sitting there on edge when they started announcing it, and I looked at Lucas and I said, they're going to give it to O'Malley. And sure enough, they gave it to O'Malley. As soon as they started to announce Judge so-and-so, I knew it was split. I knew it was split.
Yep.
And as soon as I knew it was split, I knew it was going to O'Malley. And only because he was busy. He was long. He stayed very long through multiple jabs in a row that Jan just kind of ate, like 6 in a row sometimes, and didn't do anything about. And then he would start to counter with power. And then Sean would, I think he just covered up a couple times, too many, and 8 punches from Sean without answering to them. And I think that's, one of the things that the judges may have been looking at. I did see, what I thought I would see from O'Malley is a little more offensive from the guard. I thought he would jump on his neck a little more. The one time he did jump on his neck, me and Lucas were yelling not to jump on his neck because we knew he wasn't going to get it. And the second they got to the ground, his head was already out. Yeah. And I was like, the guillotine's like the number 1 failed choke in the UFC.
Right. Even when you're a white belt, the guillotine's just so tempting to go for.
Yeah,
and it always gets reversed on you.
And to sit for it is just so dangerous, So I do not believe it was a robbery. I think Jan won a very close decision, and instead he lost a very close decision. That's my opinion. You guys can argue back and forth with who you think won. I know that you thought that Jan won as well, and your son thought Jan won. I believe Lucas also thought that Jan won a very close fight.
Yeah.
And again, I thought he won a very close fight. I was not disappointed. with the decision. I was like, okay, I thought O'Malley, even if he lost that decision, you can't argue that kid is there.
Oh, yeah.
You can't argue that number 12 just jumped and fought the number 1 guy.
Yep.
And whether won a good or bad decision, it was a decision that was split.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to ask you about, regardless of what the ground control time was, when I looked at that, and I'm looking at it at the end of the fight, 3 close rounds just from the eye test, right? Yep. 3 really close. But then you start looking, I know the significant strikes went to O'Malley, but then you also have a significant amount of time, even if it was 5 minutes, that's a third of the fight of ground control and 6 takedowns. I'm wondering if he didn't do enough with the takedowns and the ground control to actually flip the switch on that.
He didn't do a lot. That's what I was saying. He did not do a lot. I also want to go back and count the takedowns by round, because if you take me down 6 times in 1 round, you only win 1 round with those 6 takedowns, right? You don't win the whole fight.
Okay, sure.
If they were 2, 2, and 2, okay, you spread it out, and you that'll help you win those rounds. But if you took me down 25 times in 1 round, you still only win that round, and you got those takedowns in that round, so they don't count in the other rounds. I do believe he got takedowns in every round. I'm not 100% positive, but I don't think he did a lot of damage when he was there. What I was bummed about, to be honest, when O'Malley hurt Jan, I was so bummed that he got hurt right back, because I thought when he landed that, I thought he was going to take off. I thought that was the changing of the fight, and he was going to take off and be, very much on the offense and hurting him after that. He cut him after that and then continued to work on that. Then the cut got bad.
Yeah.
And I just feel like if he didn't get hurt right back, I don't know that he would have gotten hurt again, in the fight, let alone in that round. I think he would have really dominated that round, and it just so happened that he got hurt literally seconds later.
So by round, first round they got Jan got 1 takedown. Second round he got 3 takedowns, and then round 3 he got 2 takedowns. Okay. So he spread them out pretty evenly across.
So that's why the first round was so close. I guess he only got 1 takedown, and O'Malley was busy. He was throwing that jab. He was sticking him. He landed a straight a couple times. He was very good at his footwork. He switched stances a lot.
Yep.
And threw off of his switch and landed clean stuff.
Yep.
He's a very clean striker, and he's got power. Like, he doesn't look like a guy who would have power, but he's got power. You know, the punches that he landed hard, he hurt him with a few times.
The significant strikes, the numbers by round, and I'm not able. There aren't a lot of significant strikes. 23 in round 1 for O'Malley. It looks like 21 or 20. I'm doing quick math in my head here. For Jan. There weren't a lot of significant strikes. This wasn't a 50 strike round per fight.
It was only like a 60. I think O'Malley only had 61 total in the whole fight, right?
63. 63,
significant?
16 and 15. So 63 head, 6 body, 15 leg is how it goes full fight.
What was Jan's body?
Full fight, Jan landed 13 strikes, 22%.
To O'Malley's how many?
6, which was only 7%.
And then he was outstruck him on the feet on the significant to the head by 10. Is that right?
Full fight, Jan only landed 24 significant strikes at 41%, and here it is, O'Malley 75%, 63 significant strikes.
How many did Jan land?
24. So I mean, 2.5 times.
Yeah.
That's a big. So I mean, now when you start looking at it by the numbers, the eye test felt it was really close. But
those are significant strikes too. Right. Like, those aren't the ones that right. So when you do that, that's outstriking him. What, 20 per round almost?
Yeah.
Close.
Sure.
15.
So and that's I'm talking just about the head right now.
Yeah.
Head and body. They're not totaling it up for me to look at it easily on the website. So it was an entertaining fight. I'll be honest, I was pulling more for Jan, and so I'm sure I was looking at it through Jan colored glasses rather than Chooka.
Right.
But
through his colored hair.
Yeah, right. But he he fought well. And to your point, and I agree with you wholeheartedly with this, at this point now, you can't deny that he doesn't belong in the elite of that division.
For sure.
And it's going to be really interesting to see what happens next, because now
I honestly liked the fact that he was humble afterwards.
Yeah,
and
he was
said,
great.
I want to go back and watch it. You know, they said, do you think you did enough? And he said, I want to go back and watch it. You know, that was a very honest answer. He could have said, you know, like some of the people do all the time, absolutely, yes, I think I did enough.
Yeah.
When inside, their stomach's turning as they're announcing, because they don't know that they did enough, you know, and I don't know that you actually feel like you're doing enough when you're in a close fight like that. I would feel like I'm on the losing end and I need to be doing more.
Sure.
You know, if I'm getting hit as many times as I'm landing, I'm thinking I need to do more. I got to not get hit. I need to land.
Yep.
So it was I liked his answer. And he wasn't, you know, he wasn't cocky. Like when he knocks guys out and whatever, he knew that was a big jump. He knew it was a close fight. Everyone online is saying he knew he lost. Maybe he did. Maybe he did. What I would have liked to hear him say was, to be honest, it was a very close fight. It could have gone either way. I'd like to do it again.
Yeah, that,
you know,
when he said 2 out of the 3 things, the only thing
Right.
that he didn't say is let's roll this back and do it one more time.
Right.
Which
And that would
would
have
be
been,
awesome.
you know, cool for Jan to get that opportunity to him. But I think, man, he's so young and new in the sport. I think he only gets better.
Jan's on a 3-fight losing streak right now.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's
one was a DQ, right?
Yes, he's got a DQ, and then he's got, obviously, when
2
he went
decision
back
losses.
the rematch, and then so
Was his loss a split decision loss also for the belt to Sterling, or did Sterling?
let me look.
Because I thought he came back after having his back taken a lot in that fight and came back and did well. I don't remember if it was split or not.
Yeah, and I actually was just incorrect here.
He had somebody
So
in between, right?
He had Sanhagen in between,
Okay.
that he won a unanimous decision. The loss to Aljo that wasn't the DQ, that was a split decision.
So he's coming off of 2 split decision losses.
Correct.
Yeah, that's tough.
Correct.
That's tough.
Close fights, man.
Yeah.
Both
yeah.
very close fights. That 5-round fight with Aljo, you know, that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I it's good insight. I didn't realize that Dylan had posted something on there, so I'll have to go back and give him.
Yeah, he posted something on Instagram, I believe, or maybe it's Facebook. I'm not sure. I just saw it before when I got up here.
That's hilarious. That brings us to the second of 2 title fights, Sterling and TJ Dillashaw. And boy, what a disappointment. I was super interested in TJ's comments right off the bat. The very first thing he said was, I want to apologize to the entire division for holding everybody up.
Yeah. That was the first humble thing he's ever said in his life. Not a fan of that guy.
Yeah.
Told you before, but karma keeps coming around and getting him. You know, you burn your coach, you know, you burn your teammates, and that stuff comes back to get you. And it seems to be getting him over and over again. He is a stud. You know, he is a tough SOB in the division. But, you know, he got popped with the EPO deal. And I don't know if you heard the crowd at the weigh-ins. When they were standing on the stage, the entire crowd is chanting EPO, EPO. I'm just like, the sport is so harsh as it is, right? It's already so brutal, and then the fans are just like, you know, whatever. But he's had these injuries. He had a knee injury after Sanhagen, had to have surgery. He's now back and does this, and within 15 seconds, I think, he dislocated his shoulder.
It was the very first takedown. Aljo went on him. I think there were maybe a couple of strikes thrown. Aljo shot, and you could see him reach back and try and catch with his left shoulder. And I didn't see anything on video, but
I could see it out the whole round.
It was disgusting.
I could see it out the whole round.
Yeah.
And if you go back to the last Bellator, Aaron Pico, same thing. His came out way more methodical and gentle way of putting it back in on
absolutely
TJ today than yanking just Pico's shoulder off his but it came right back out again, you know,
And they even talked about it in between rounds that he was able to, and I watched a video that talked about that Aaron Pico. There was somebody that broke it down, and they're like, look, when you're supposed to place that in, you put a little pressure on it, and then you ease it back in. Yeah. And they talked about the violence that his trainer was trying to do was not the way to do it.
No.
And it was cool because right after that in the UFC with TJ, that's exactly what happened. And you looked at it and you're like, oh, that looks right again. Okay, that looks okay. But
yeah, you could tell as soon as it went back in. There's a kid that trains here. I've put his back in a couple times. I used to put another kid, Cody LaCour, that I used to train that raced motocross. His would come out all the time, and I put his back in a couple times as well. It's not difficult to put back in, but once it comes out again. Yeah. Like TJ needs surgery now.
Yeah,
like
that's
just
got
to
get
continue
repaired.
to come out.
Right.
You know, it's got to get fixed in there. And so, you know, here he is out again. My problem was when he said, I told the referee backstage that it was probably going to come out. That fight shouldn't have happened. You know, that was
I wondered about that.
Put him in danger the entire time, and so it put him in danger 15 seconds into the fight. And you know, looking at it as quickly as Sterling got on him, I gotta believe that that's how the fight was going to go. I think he was going to be on him like that, and I think he would have beat him regardless of the injury. Not just because I hate on TJ. I think he's a savage, you know, and he's tough and whatever. But I just think as quickly as he was able to get to his hips and get on him, that was just going to be a replay over and over again. And I feel like the more he was able to fight to get up, the more danger he was going to get in submission-wise.
All right. So, and now that Aljo defended, and we just talked about O'Malley taking that win to Piotr. Piotr's already lost twice against Aljo. Yeah. Do you see O'Malley and Aljo? Is that the next logical thing, or do you feel like there's got to be something else in between before that happens?
I mean, there doesn't have to be. I think there should be. As I was watching the fight, I told Luke, I think even though I thought Jan was gonna beat Sterling, I think Sterling beats O'Malley easier than Jan.
Okay.
Stylistically, I just think it's a rough matchup for him. And he's huge. Like Sterling is giant.
He's a monster.
The fact that he Mark, never mind. Quote me on this. The fact that he keeps passing the tests over and over again, and has changed looks and size while being in the division, is mind blowing to me. Like, where are they at? Are they coming in his gym? Constantly testing him like I hang out at Glory, and the USADA people are in there, you know, regularly pulling fighters to test him because they have 20 guys in the UFC.
So you've seen that process. How does that look? What's that look like? You're sitting in the gym and all of a sudden you see guys coming in with shirts on that say like, what does that look like?
You get up and you get off the mat and you go pee in the bathroom, and they follow you and do it. They show up at your house and do it. Like they can do it whenever. So that being said. And I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying mind-blowing as a grown adult to be able to put on that kind of lean muscle mass in not that long of a period of time. Like, he kind of went from the first time he fought Jan to the second time he fought Jan. The second time he fought Jan, I was like, whoa, bro. Like, he was so big and vascular in the shoulders and arms and everything. And I was like, huh. You know, I was like, I'll be interested to see what happens after the fight's over. And clearly nothing happened. And he looked that way again today. So
yeah, he looked like a giant.
Yeah, he's a monster. There.
All right, well, that brings us to the main event of the evening. It was honestly, I didn't really know what to think about Oliveira and Makhachev when they went in. What'd you see?
He's a stud, man. All those guys from over there are tough, right? And like I said, he may go on a run now. You can put someone like Chandler in there with him that can wrestle with him, because Oliveira got to him, almost got a couple takedowns, and he's not a wrestler. You know, Chandler could possibly get takedowns. He does have the power. He doesn't have the cardio, unfortunately. And Poirier, you know, I don't know that he could stop his takedowns. And who's the other one? He beats Gaethje easy. I think he beats Gaethje easy. Stylistically, it's a bad matchup for him.
I agree.
I think Chandler has a chance with power and his wrestling, and I think Poirier, honestly, that was the problem if he won. I don't see who beats him. And it's going to be probably a little while. Beneil can come up there and do well, but his takedown defense today was pretty solid.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We'll see what happens. Islam said that he said Oliveira's quit before, I'm going to make him quit again. And in my heart, he quit. He got hurt, so that's fair. But he tapped early. Like, the choke was getting put on and just getting there when he tapped. And I'm sure he's strong and whatever. But Oliveira's trained with a lot of great guys. He's won a lot of things and chokes a lot of people. I think he tapped early because he was hurt and was, I don't know, his warrior wasn't there today. Not to say it would have gone any different regardless. Like, he was going to lose at that point anyway. I just thought he tapped early, like, yep, it's a wrap. So I don't know. He was tough, man. He was a stud, and he did what he said he was going to do. Now there are people talking, saying, now all the people are calling him out that were turning him down before. Well, of course they were turning him down. He had nothing to gain by beating him before, and had everything to lose.
Right.
It was like the Jan taking the O'Malley fight was the most dangerous. Why? If he said no to O'Malley or even no to number 7, which was where he was, I think, or 6 or 4.
Jan.
No, Makhachev.
He was 4.
4, okay. Well, beating whoever to get there, he was ranked, above that.
Yep.
And so people were saying no because, number one, he's a hell of a threat, and there was nothing to gain by beating the guy at that time. Now they fight him. They're fighting for the belt. There's nothing to lose by losing to the champion who just beat the champion.
Who's calling him out? You said the people are calling him out. Did you?
I was just reading stuff online. Everyone's like, "Oh, now everybody that's turned him down for the last couple of years is calling him out," and and why not? He's the champ.
Yeah.
So, I was thinking, Khabib, as much as I'm a fan of his, would have had a tougher fight with Oliveira because he doesn't have the striking that Islam has. He didn't have the striking that Islam had. So he can land a punch like he did on Conor because of the threat of the takedown, but in reality, he doesn't beat Oliveira on the feet. He doesn't land those punches to Oliveira on the feet. So he would have had to have been on the ground the majority of the time, and he could have ground and pound him, and done the same thing. But I feel like the only reason that fight got to where it was, I mean, watch the first round. He wasn't passing. He wasn't doing that. He was, the second round he was able to because he hurt him. He was able to pass right away to half guard, then lock up the choke, and then pass right away to the other side and finish it. So I feel like it might have been a more competitive fight with Khabib, but no, it's hard to say. But he was probably like, okay, I don't have to come back now.
Yeah. Do you see Oliveira Makhachev 2 as the next fight, or do you see Makhachev take the winner of Chandler and Poirier as the next fight?
I mean, it depends what Oliveira wants, to be honest. If he asks for it, he may get it. How many times has he been the champ? Defending?
Oh, I'll go back in 5 or 6.
Khabib, right after Khabib, he fought for the belt.
Yes, it was. So then he ran through Chandler, Poirier, Tony
Gaethje.
Ferguson, and Gaethje. That's the last fight he had was Gaethje. So I think this would have been his 5th. Let me double check, but I think that would have been his 5th title.
So he may get a shot again. He may not want it right away. He may want, something. But I'd probably the winner of the other two get that. And
I'm wrong. Ferguson was before Chandler. So once he got it from once he got the belt by beating Chandler, then it was just Poirier and Gaethje were his only 2 title defenses.
Okay.
Tony Ferguson was just before that.
Okay. So yeah, we'll see if he gets that immediate rematch. If not, one of those 2 guys will get it. I hope Chandler starts fighting smarter.
Yeah.
He fights for the crowd, and he needs to fight for himself, and that for his legacy on wins. And he made a comment about it a while ago saying, I'm the most exciting fighter in the UFC right now, but I'm 2-2. He needs to put together a couple wins, and taking a fight with Poirier, that's a tough road to go to do that. I just feel like he throws so hard, and wrestles so hard that he gasses. He gets tired.
And he loads up when he throws, too.
Loads up and tries to knock you out with every punch, and he hurts everybody he hits.
Yeah.
But you got to put him away if that's the case, and otherwise you're now in the second round and gasping for air. Connor's never making 55 again, right? There's no way.
Not from the pictures I've seen.
No. There's a guy who I'm curious how he keeps – well, did you hear that?
He's not – USADA's not – he's not in the –
Ironically, he is in the USADA pool.
Okay.
And when they went back and looked at the last year, he's the only athlete that has not been tested in the last year in USADA, even though he's in the pool.
I did not know that.
Explain that.
Yeah.
So, and you see a guy put on whatever weight he put on, but it's been a lot.
Like 25, 30
He gassed at 45, he gassed at 55, and now he wants to put on a bunch of muscle and think he's not going to gas.
Yeah. I'm hearing a lot of talk, at least in my house, and I don't know if this is going around, but you're hearing Islam being Khabib 2.0, and maybe a better version of that. Do you think that's a stretch? Do you think that's accurate?
I mean, it's not a stretch. They've been saying it for a long time. They've been saying it before he was winning fights in the UFC, I'm pretty sure. They've been saying that at AKA for a while. Khabib's been saying it himself and saying that when he's done, this is the guy, and he's done, and
this is the guy.
This is the guy. So we'll see what happens. But, yeah, I like I said the other day on our pre-fight deal, I think if he wins, he's going to be here a while.
Yeah.
The guys that are at the top, although it's a very tough division, they're all have fought and beat each other and have worn each other out. They've all had these knockout, drag-out, brutal wars, Oliveira included, Chandler, Gaethje, Poirier, all of them.
Yep.
They've all been in those crazy-ass fights, and you can't do that forever. You can't do that forever. And this guy showed up, had taken very little damage. He could be here for a while.
His only loss was his second UFC fight against Adriano Martins.
Who's probably not even in the UFC anymore.
Yeah, I don't even know.
What did he do after that?
Let me see if I can pull it up.
I just looked. 5 losses, 4 losses, and 5 losses and a no contest.
5 losses and a no contest.
Right, so that guy's not in the UFC anymore, am I right? Where's his last few fights?
Copa de Norte,
Right.
MMA. It's not the UFC. Then Future FC, Shudo Brazil, FNG.
How did Islam lose to him?
TKO. It was
got
punches.
Caught.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he'll be here a while.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff, man. It's really exciting stuff. Cool. What's next?
Awesome. UFC 281 is coming up.
Yeah, that's November 12th,
Bellator,
I believe.
there's a good Bellator coming up next weekend, I think.
Okay.
A lot of great fights on that card, and we'll cover those.
Just real quick before we end, I noticed that Bryce had a fight, but it got canceled. What do you know? I haven't heard much.
So Bryce was about to fight the guy who has been bullying him online. He's a Russian guy who's been bad-mouthing him, told him he was going to come to his farm, kill his cows, kill him, like all this crazy stuff. And Bryce like, let's fight this guy. And I know Rolly wanted Bryce and Calvin Kattar, and Kattar ended up having another fight. So that fight was going to happen. Then that guy dropped out for whatever reason. And I believe now Sadiq Yosef, I think that fight's going to happen.
Okay.
I believe, maybe not. I think he might still be looking for a fight. That fight was going to happen, I think, and then now it's not. I'm not sure, but he's looking for a fight.
Sadiq Yosef is ranked 12 right now.
Yeah.
So that
he's
would
behind
be
Bryce.
Yeah, that would be Bryce reaching. That's just him staying busy at that point.
Yeah.
So cool. Okay. Well, sounds like we got a lot ahead of us. I'm excited for 281. I think that's going to be a really great fight as well. Madison Square Garden. I mean, come on, that's fantastic. And then,
for sure.
3 great fights at least. Well, more, but those top 3 fights with Izzy and Pereira and Carlos fighting Young Wei Lee.
Oh yeah.
And then my favorite fight of the night is going to be Poirier and Chandler.
Poirier and Chandler. I like both guys. Chandler's the guy that I've been on a high of him since he got to the UFC or earlier than that, but we'll see how that goes.
Cool.
Guys, do us a favor. Wherever you like this, like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and help us blow this thing up. Cool. Thank you. See you next time.
It is all over, just like that.